It's official. The Ant Group sets pricing for its IPO. Today we'll take a look at the details of the pricing, and since it's not being listed on the US exchanges, I'll give you some options on how you can get in on buying some shares, either directly or indirectly. I also have an update on Airbnb as they inch, and I mean inch, closer to their widely anticipated IPO, and how this update could impact the eventual pricing of their shares. And finally, we have a couple of new companies that have been added to the big list of IPOs coming out this week. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel that focuses on all the hot IPOs. We've had a busy week on the channel so far, with us already putting out our weekly IPO This Week episode on Sunday that had 14 companies that we covered. And then I put out another video analyzing Palantir and their share price after their quiet period just ended on Monday, so if you missed those videos, definitely give them a watch. Today, since I found some time, there's a few new things I want to talk about in the world of IPOs, particularly news on Ant Group. But before we get to them, I want to quickly talk about a couple of other things, including Airbnb and two new biotech IPOs, both from Massachusetts, that were added to this week's calendar after I recorded IPO this week. So let's start there. The first biotech is one that has expanded into developing treatment for the virus behind the pandemic, and their name is Atea Pharmaceuticals, ticker symbol AVIR. The company is a clinical stage biotech focused on developing antiviral therapeutics to improve the lives of patients suffering from life-threatening viral infections, including this year's infamous virus, but also conditions such as hepatitis C and dengue. The company's lead and most advanced candidate is focused on the pandemic virus and is currently in a phase 2 trial with approximately 190 adult patients. Top-line data is expected in the first half of next year, which is also when they anticipate starting their phase 3 clinical trial. As I always say for biotechs at this stage, there is no revenue to report at this time as they have no products on the market. While the pandemic has allowed them to move more quickly on their lead candidate, you also have to remember that there is a lot of competition in the market. If you're interested in Atea, their IPO is set for Thursday, with pricing expected in the range of $22 to $24. Trading with them begin on Friday. The second IPO comes from another clinical stage biotech named SQZ Biotechnologies. You want to guess the ticker? You got it, it's SQZ. SQZ is developing transformative cell therapies for patients with cancer, infectious diseases, and other serious conditions. They describe their proprietary technology as cell squeeze, a way to physically squeeze cells through a microfluidic chip that temporarily opens the cell membrane and enables biologic material of interest to diffuse into the cell, which sounds pretty cool to me. Its most advanced candidate is currently in a phase 1 trial for HPV-positive tumors, with initial data expected in the second half of next year. So they are clearly another early-stage biotech with no products on the market and none that will make it anytime soon. However, they have partnered with Roche and have received some revenue from them for developing their lead candidate as part of the partnership. The company also looks to hold their IPO on Thursday, with pricing anticipated to come within a range of $16 to $18. Trading with them begin on Friday. Okay, moving on past our new companies, I know there's a lot of interest in Airbnb and their anticipated IPO, which we still don't have a date for yet, but are expecting it to happen in early mid-December. I'm still waiting to see their public filing, and as soon as they come out with one, you can count on me to start digging into it and put up a video. But there was some news that could impact the pricing of their IPO that I thought you might want to be aware of. As reported on Bloomberg.com, Airbnb's board of directors has approved a 2-for-1 split of the company's currently private shares. And another interesting bit of news from their reporting, they noted that the value of Airbnb shares has increased 10.4% from its last valuation listed in compensation reports to the IRS, and that 10.4% gain was from the end of the previous period, which was unclear if that period was the second quarter, but most likely the time period it would be. Also, according to the article, which I'll link for you, the shares were valued at $69.76 each on September 30th, compared with a value of $63.15 at the end of the previous period. And just to clarify, this price is before the stock split, so the price would effectively be $34.88 when you then consider the split. I know you want more details of the IPO and when it's going to happen, and I absolutely want to give them to you, but until they file publicly, we're still in limbo. But this information might be more helpful than you think once Airbnb finally IPOs. And that's because now you have an idea what the share price was valued at on the private market, and that knowledge can help you get an idea on what it might be worth, or at least help you decide on what you're willing to pay once it hits the public market. So anyway, I wanted to share that information with you, and I hope you see the value in it like I did. I know some of you are still going to be frustrated that I don't have a date for you, but I'm working on it. And finally, let's talk about the huge Ant Group IPO, set to be the world's largest IPO ever. For some of you that might not be very familiar with the company, Ant is the blockbuster financial technology company affiliated with Jack Ma's Chinese e-commerce group Alibaba, who back in 2014 held their own world record-setting IPO at the time. Ant Group owns China's largest digital payment platform, Alipay, which serves over 700 million active users and 80 million merchants. The company reports that Alipay had $17 trillion, yes, trillion with a T, in transactions for the 12 months ended June 2020. Beyond Alipay, some of the company's other offerings include a wealth management platform, credit reporting, and insurance products. As to financials in US dollars, the company said revenue for the 9 months ended in September rose about 43% to $17.7 billion compared to the same period last year. And in that same period, gross profit rose 74% to $10.4 billion. So we're talking big money and big growth here. As to the IPO itself, Ant Group is set to raise around $34 billion with its shares being priced at $10.30. If you're in the US and are interested in buying into the IPO, unfortunately you're going to have to work a little harder to get your shares. Due to tensions between the US and China, particularly with the US administration threatening restrictions on Chinese companies, Ant made the decision to list on exchanges in Shanghai and Hong Kong instead of in the US. And this makes it a lot harder for US investors to buy shares, which I'll get to giving you some options on how to do that in a second. As of now, Ant Group is expected to start trading in Hong Kong on November 5th. As for trading its Shanghai shares, I don't have a date for you on that yet. Okay, so you're in the US and you want to invest in the IPO. So what do? Well, there are a few options that you do have. The first is to use an international brokerage account because, unfortunately, most US brokerages only offer access to the US stock exchanges, like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, which obviously won't have Ant on them. So if you want to buy Ant Group shares, you'll need an international brokerage account that allows you to buy and sell shares on overseas markets. Charles Schwab, Fidelity, and Interactive Brokers are all equipped to handle international trade, so you could check there. Also, T. Rowe and UBS Asset Management, as well as Fidelity, are apparently trying to get in on the IPO, but there's no guarantee at this time that they'll get an allocation. A more indirect way to get a piece of Ant is to buy shares of Alibaba, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol BABA. So any US brokerage will get you in there. While not a perfect option, Alibaba is expected to maintain a roughly 33% stake in Ant Group, which allows you to get exposure to Ant without having to open up an international account where you have to become aware of new fees, commissions, and international exchange rates. Another indirect option is to buy exchange-traded funds that would track the stock. Once the stock hits the market, you'll need to look for ETFs that add Ant shares to their holdings. Obviously, you're looking at ETFs that invest in Chinese companies. You could also look into Renaissance Capital's International IPO ETF if you like investing in international IPOs in general. If you're interested in Ant, it's unfortunate that it's going to be harder to get in on this IPO if you live in the US. But like they say, where there's a will, there's a way. Which I have to admit I don't really get that saying. But if you are planning to get in on the IPO, I'd love to hear how you plan to do it. Let me know in the comments. And one last thing, please like the video if you enjoyed it and want to keep seeing more videos like this. And if you're new to the channel or just an occasional visitor, we'd love to have you join the community. After all, it's free. You just got to hit that little red subscribe button. And with that, let's wrap it here for now. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, have a great day.